저는 학생이기 때문에 가금을 잘 못해서 그냥 전설도 별로 없고 카드도 별로 없고.
Hello everyone and welcome to Hearthstone Masters Korea. And let us just reminisce
Jungle Ramu.
the sad story of Jungle Ramu.
Miss you already.
For those of you guys who didn't watch, I mean, this is the story of Jungle Ramu. He's a young student, youngest one who made it into the round of 16 here at Masters Korea, and he doesn't have money to buy all the packs he wants. So he only had 6 legendary cards coming in, and he made it to the round of 16 through the qualifiers. It's such an emotional player.
The agony of defeat.
Oh, man.
Wow, look at that.
Look at the smile on his
Satisfied Jungle Ramu.
He's like, yes, another legendary I can play.
the only way you can get him.
Yeah, and in his interview he said, you know, it's one of my dreams to just buy a bunch of packs and collect all these cards. And so here at OGN, we really support the new rising players of Hearthstone. So if you go to facebook.com/OGNOROROR, now that's the sound they make in Korean for the Murlocs, you can like the post about Jungle Ramu, and every 100 likes will get him 10 card packs.
A worthy cause.
Absolutely.
It's very nice, actually.
It's actually pretty awesome. You know, I'm actually really happy that we're doing this. And please, yeah, so it doesn't matter if you're a global fan, you can still just go into the page and you can like it, and we will respect the like count and give card packs over to Jungle Ramu to see if he's able to come back with a full collection or near full collection next season.
Yeah, we don't want to say play with a full deck because that makes it sound like he's crazy. But he just lacks cards.
Yeah, he was pretty lacking. You know, he only brought 3 classes that he knew how to play. But that's it for our cause for Jungle Ramu. We'll remind you as the broadcast goes on. But right now, it's time for our second week of Hearthstone Masters Korea here at OGN. Cherber here with Doa, and another 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, here with great matches of Korean Hearthstone. I'm pretty psyched after last week.
Dude, I'm really excited. The level of play in Korea has really improved. If you compare what we saw last year in the tournaments we had here at OGN to what we saw last week, the level of play, man, they play so much slower. They make so much better decisions now. Korea has really, I think, become a pretty good region, honestly. I'm excited to see more international competition with these guys later today.
Absolutely.
Well, not later today, later in the year.
Later today,
Getting
actually,
ahead of myself
surprise, we've got some special guests now. You know what I really like? I like how you said that, because last year, I actually didn't really look forward to Korean players playing at international events, because I was like, I don't even know if they'll learn a lot given the way they're playing. Like, they're playing too fast. They didn't seem too open about learning about deck building from foreign players and whatnot. But for one, of course, we have 2 players, Kranish and Rini, are on these global teams, global organizations who have learned, okay, so this is how the Western players are playing Hearthstone. This is how they're building decks. And Korean players in general seem a lot more open. So even if they're not like at the best level yet compared to the other regions, I think now if they match up against those other regions, they'll actually learn and improve as we go on.
Well, I think right now, you know, some of the top players in Korea can absolutely and have absolutely competed at the highest level with Hearthstone players from NA and EU, you know, what have you as well, China as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, as we move on, as we see more international stuff later, as we move into the World Championships looking far down the line, you know, how well Korea can do. But today we've got 2 great best of 5s, of course. It's going to be Flurry versus Caster in our first match, and then Dawn versus Tranzit. So some familiar faces, especially Tranzit, I think a lot of people would remember from some matches last year on OGN. He also did very well in the IR3 King of the Hill for a little while last year. He beat players like Savit. So a very legit guy coming in, trying to make it through the round of 16. I think he's got a pretty good shot, but that's our second match of the day.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Transit later. Both of us have been able to talk to him before the tournament, so a lot to share about that guy. But actually, both matches, something to look forward to, especially for the fans in Korea, because there's a lot of talk about all 4 of these players.
Yeah.
Of course, the second match is kind of the highlight, I think, of the day.
Oh, definitely.
But Flurry was in the scene last year. He went to the round of 16 in Season 2 of Korea versus China. Unfortunately, of course, pretty much almost every single Korean player lost in the round of 16 that season.
Yeah, only Rini made it to the round of 16. The sole Korean against all those Chinese players. It was brutal. Yeah, Flurry was one of the victims here, and he's got kind of that reputation though as far as tournaments go. He's always ranked very high on the Asian ladder in Hearthstone, but he hasn't really performed in tournaments. You know, whether they're OGN or online or other tournaments here in Korea as well. So this is kind of another opportunity for him to sort of break out of that ladder dungeon, I guess. Here's some info about our tournament.
Yeah, if you're tuning in for the first time, we are kicking off the live broadcast with the round of 16 And this week we'll finish that up actually. Just 8 or 4 matches left.
Moving right along.
Today and 2 tomorrow. And then next week we'll go to the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final on May 2nd, a Saturday here in Korea. And a pretty good prize pool for all these players, along with World Championship points, so that they can vie for a spot in that last event of the year for Hearthstone.
Indeed, yeah, and of course, I mean, the points are really kind of the main thing. I mean, the money's great, but to get closer to the World Championships later in the year, that's kind of the prize that all of these guys are ultimately going for.
Yeah, I think so. Well, except for maybe Jungle Ramu. He wants that money.
Well, he just wants cards to begin with. That's true.
He actually doesn't even want the money. He just wants the cards.
It's a dream. His dream is already dead this year. So let's be honest here. He didn't make it to the round of 16.
We here at OGN support the cause of all you free-to-play players. So please, as a symbol, if you'd like to donate to Jungle Ramu's card collection, go over to that site. We'll probably post it on our social media. It's kind of long to say.
It's not even you donating either. It's just you liking a status.
Well, yeah.
And for every 100 likes, OGN's going to give him card packs.
Yeah.
Which
That's actually pretty
really
awesome.
cool. Yeah,
and we could actually, as a group, as a Hearthstone community, fill his entire collection.
It's true.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm on board.
I'm going to tweet about that later, too. I
Absolutely.
want to campaign for Jungle Ramu. That's right.
He's the true hero of Hearthstone this year.
He's an inspiring character. That's right.
Let's go back to Fleury and Caster for now, though. Like you said, Fleury, like a big ladder player, he's actually vying for kind of like the title of Asian Zigzo at this point. He ranked, he got Legend first in March. We'll see how he's doing right now. Probably already hopefully reached it if he's going for that title of Asian Zigzo, but
I think so. I mean, here's our results so far, and you can see the rest of the matches as well. Sol Shiho and Lucette are winners in day number 1, and then on day 2, Luxam and Abelmo taking it. Of course, kind of the big casualty in the first week was Kranish, unfortunately.
Man.
It was so sad that Kranish and Sol Shiho had to meet up so early in the tournament because that could have been a finals.
Yep, and so here are the results we already know for the quarterfinals. We have Sol Shiho up against Lucette. It's just going down the bracket. Luxam up against Abelmo. And this week we'll know the rest of the matchups today and tomorrow. So today we'll know the third matchup already. Group E and Group F playing today.
Yep.
Should
That's
be
absolutely
exciting.
right.
Kranish, though, man.
Oh, I know. It really is too bad.
That
I mean,
rag.
Kranish, of course, a semifinalist at BlizzCon last year. Yeah, he made a pretty big mistake. He got very cocky in his first game, and that ended up costing him in the end. But today's matches, as we've already mentioned, Fleury versus Caster will be our first best of 5. And then Dawn versus Tranzit. Interestingly enough, Dawn actually was the player to knock out Surrender, who is widely considered by a lot of these guys to be the best player in Korea, but Dawn was able to take him down. I talked to Tranzit on Skype earlier today. He used to be on the same team as I know him really well. He was saying that he felt Dawn was really lucky in beating Surrender. He didn't think he'd have a problem taking him. So again, a little bit more about the second match, but let's talk more about Caster versus Fleury. We talked a bit about Fleury and his ladder success. Caster, he's a mage player, but aside from that, there's not a lot of info out about this guy, even from the Korean players themselves.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get to hear from him first. If it's Fleury, though, if you guys watched last year, you'll remember him. And his Korean ID is Romantic Winter, so he's translated into Fleury, which we talked about this last year. Not too romantic, but
more cold.
And he says, I was super happy when I got to qualify for the round of 16 again. He wanted to scream, but other people were still playing their matches at the qualifier. And for Caster, like, I know he's a pretty good player. He's won some other tournaments globally, like online and things like that. So I'm definitely not underestimating him. And I definitely want to win, but more than anything, I don't want to make any mistakes. I want to prove that it really does require a lot of skill to play well, and I want to show that clean game where people will be able to respect my play more than anything. And this season, just going well through the qualifiers, I want to continue this momentum and go all the way to that top #1 spot in Season 1. Fleury, when he came into the Korea vs. China Season 2 last year, I mean, for one, it was his kind of big debut in the professional scene, and two, he didn't play first, so there was already this pressure of like, will any Koreans make it out alive? And all these Koreans were playing a little bit more scared. I think that's what they were saying backstage. They were like, man, well, if all of us get knocked out, this just turns into a Chinese tournament. So there was a lot of pressure on him last year.
Yeah, I mean, and that combined with the nervousness he already kind of deals with in these offline events has been a bit crippling in the past. He's also a teammate of mine on Golden Coin. Haven't talked to him as much. I admit there's a bit of a language barrier there, but we'll see if he can represent the organization well today.
Yeah, you can see that already just in professional matches, a win rate under 50%. So
yeah,
exactly what we mentioned.
He does get nervous. So We'll see if he can conquer it. His opponent, Caster, again, a bit of an unknown, but I think we're going to learn a little bit more about him.
Yeah, we'll hear
just
about
a moment.
it from his own words. He is on Team Sunbee, who actually, they also have 3 players here in the round of 16. Caster, he is a college student at the time in Team Sunbee. Let's see. Oh, and so he has the highest win rate in official matches here in Korea. Very happy that I got to go to the round of 16. And I'm just happy that, you know, all the practice was worth it coming to this point. And so I won actually just one of the toughest matchups in my qualifier when it was class versus class. So I was really happy that I could overcome that kind of meta and come into the round of 16. And, you know, I'm really happy that I get to come onto the OGN stage with the highest win rate in official matches in Korea. So I really want to continue to represent that reputation here in Korea. He has I believe, around 70% win rate in professional matches. Only at about 26 and 12 though, so not like an extensive number of matches compared to foreign players, but still pretty solid.
It's a good start. Yeah, it's definitely a good start. We'll see if he can add to it today. It was a bit awkward when I met him backstage before the cast because he said, "Hi, I'm a caster," and I'm like, "No, I'm the caster. I'm the caster. You're the player." And he was very confused. But we'll see. We'll see if he can prove to be the player caster today.
Yeah. So on Team Sunbee, we did see one of his teammates, Abelmo, earlier last week, or not Abelmo, Handsome Guy. Excuse me, a Handsome Guy. Not able to make it through against Abelmo, rather.
And just to clarify, he named himself Caster because he's a big mage player. That's where that's actually from. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's why.
Well, we'll actually get to check out their classes right away so that we can jump into the first match. We don't want our fans here in the studio missing their last trains back home, so let's jump right into the prep of match
still
number 1.
might miss it anyway.
They might.
These nights have a tendency to go late, and it is Conquest format, so we see a lot of Game 5s, which is awesome.
It is pretty great for all of us here watching these games.
Okay, Rogue Hunter Mage today for Flurry.
Okay. Well,
Pretty standard.
Yeah, in terms of meta. Also, we do need to note that we don't have BRM cards in the round of 16.
Yes.
They decided, you know, we want to, just given the timing of it, we want to make the round of 16 all in the same patch. So we'll keep that here for the round of 16. But starting next week in the round of 8, it will be just live client right away. So second wing of BRM will be included starting next week.
Yep, that's right. So, what will the classes be for Caster? Looks like Rogue, Hunter, Druid this time. So, the Mage and the Druid, the 2 separate class choices by our players.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the classes, we talked about this last week. Generally, we have a pretty healthy distribution, and Hunter Rogue definitely pretty darn common pre-Black Ark Mountain.
Yeah.
And I'd say even afterwards, they're still pretty good. Of course, Druid making a big comeback with the Emperor now in play. But hey, you know what? Now that we're not playing with BRM cards, it's a little refreshing because I'm sure everyone's seen enough Emperor Tharson over the weekend.
I know I have.
And we won't see him anymore today in these matches.
It's true. I don't think my opponents have seen enough of my Grim Patrons, though.
Oh, man.
And I've shown them a lot of them.
The Grim Patron decks, they're pretty excited to watch. But for now, we're going to jump into the first game between Flurry and Caster. And it's going to be a best-of-5 Conquest format.
Yeah, let's see what classes they decide to lead in with.
Yeah, it looks like... Oh, actually, it looks like the games are ready. So we'll jump in and find out right away here in set number 1 of Group E of the round of 16. Flurry versus Caster.
Go. What are the classes? Okay, Mage versus Druid. All right. Flurry's Mage versus Caster's Druid deck. All right, and I think out of the classes that Caster has, I think Flurry is going to have the toughest time perhaps with Druid, but starting off with what looks to be a bit of a mid-mage. Maybe actually... yeah.
Well, it looks like it could be a little bit more.
Might even be Freeze Mage, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's Freeze Mage, but it looks like it could be leaning a little bit more towards that tempo mid style here. We'll see exactly which one it is.
I see a couple of different things these days.
All right.
I feel like we're getting into a really good time right now with Hearthstone, where there are finally a good amount of different archetypes that we see.
I'm really enjoying it, I have to say. very excited for it. You know, and now with Blackrock Mountain out, as we wait for the first couple of turns, it's we were talking about this earlier, Noah, but I am myself also really looking forward to the next expansion. Seeing how Blackrock Mountain has already changed it with just one wing open, I'm like, oh man, if another expansion hits.
Well, I've said it for a long time. I really feel like once the next big expansion for Hearthstone hits, once they hit 2 expansions and a couple adventures, that's really when Hearthstone will hit its stride and it'll become a really great CCG. It's got a great start already, but it needs that bigger card pool, you know, like any CCG does when it starts out.
All right, so Caster, oh, he has the Ascension Shield Master.
Yeah, he does.
Ascension's been coming on and off. I mean, people kind of trade it off depending on especially the meta, if you want a little bit more taunt or not.
Especially here in Asia and this tournament, we've seen so much aggression that I think throwing Ascension in there is a pretty good tech at the moment if you're going to be playing Druid.
Yeah, over some of the other 4-drops like the Piloted Shredders. And I think the big question here was, do I keep that Sorcerer's Apprentice on the board? And no, looks like he's not going to. I can respect that. Yeah, you don't really want, especially with the Mana Worm there, you don't want it to get out a little bit out of control.
Yeah, I think that's the big part of it, is that Mana Worm with the Apprentice is a much bigger threat. Looks like it's going to be Fireball. The draw coin still available. For Flurry.
Wow.
The most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
I don't know what that's a parody of, but it says going to win now.
Oh, all right.
That was a little bit creepy.
A win to remember.
Oh, a win to remember.
Maybe. I don't know what that was. 3 damage done to Caster here, but he got that nice fast start with the Wild Growth, so he's able to get the Druid the Claw down.
Now, if you're Flurry, I mean, you just use only one Frostbolt, or
you could
use both Frost. I feel like that's overreaching a little bit.
Well, if you use both Frostbolts too, that's only 5 damage on the Mana Worm. That's not gonna.
Yeah, it's not
gonna kill the Druid of the Claw. So you'd have to use at least one on the Druid.
Well, I mean, if you use both on the Druid, you'd
oh well, yeah, that's true too. You could go through it.
But I feel like that's a little greedy. Granted, Caster only has 2 cards in hand.
It's actually not that bad.
He already used the Wrath too, yeah.
Yeah, with the Wrath already used especially. I mean, there is Swipe, and this would draw it out, but it feels pretty good to have Swipe used on just one minion.
And a 1-drop at that.
He's gotten a lot of damage done with this Mana Worm as well, too. So even though, even if it does get swiped this turn, which you would imagine it will, that Mana Worm's had a good run.
Yeah, you can see Caster really in a bind. He's just, I mean...
Well, you have to swipe it.
Exactly. The choices are obvious, but probably trying to think about, you know, how do I go forward from here? Do you just Wild Growth here? Because, you know, sure, you got a lot of damage done to you, but...
I don't know if you would Wild Growth here, because you're not going to be able to play, Cenarius next turn either way. Okay, he is. I mean, either way, he would have had enough for something like an Ancient of Lore if he would have drawn it.
Yeah, I think that was the big question here, is that do I just get a little bit of armor back, or, you know, because from now on what he draws, he's going to want to play right away, and you don't want to get hindered by the mana.
Yeah. I mean, if he would have drawn another Innervate, he would have been able to play Cenarius either way as well, too. So I think it's interesting, because it didn't really do anything for this turn specifically.
That is true. Yeah. Maybe he could have kept it for a draw at, you know, turn 10.
8 mana is a very awkward turn for Druid.
Very true. Very true. It's like if you Wild Growth, you know, early for a turn 3, unless you have that Shade or something like that, or Harvest Golem, it's not really going to be too worth it. You might as well wait.
Yeah, I mean the 1 armor isn't like super helpful, but it doesn't really help him do what he's trying to do any faster and more efficiently. And it does mean 1 less draw, you know, next turn. So we'll see. It does mean he can play Cenarius right away, so that's good. Oh boy. So it's a counter spell.
Yeah, not going to matter too much for a long time. Caster's used actually almost all of his spells, I feel.
Yeah.
Going in so far.
Yeah, you just don't want it to catch a Force of Nature later, you know?
That's true. Yeah, it is really good against that, against prepping for the combo. And actually, considering that Caster only had 2 cards or 1 card in hand at the time, you got to assume that, you know, when he gets the combo, he's going to want to use it, and there's no way around it at this point. Having used Wild Growth, he's used, you know, Wrath, he's used Swipe. Can't really throw away other spells.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
well...
going to be tough. Would you just play Cenarius here?
You
Just
know,
drop him with the taunts?
It feels kind of bad, but like Flurry's deck, as we said, you know, it's got a lot of that mid-range feel to it. Of course, we can see that he has Ragnaros, but even if not, he's already got 3 minions on board. Just putting the shade and passing, I don't think that's too worth it. I think you Scenarius. I think you get the 2 extra taunts.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, it's something that he's forced to trade with. It is a tempo mage, so they might have some bigger clear, but either way.
Yeah, you have to.
Either way, this is the only way you're going to be getting a little bit of board control back. You just have to hope that they don't have a flame strike.
The mirror entity coming in turn too late for Flurry.
That would have been nice to have.
Yeah, 5-8, that would have been pretty sweet.
5-8s are pretty good. And it's not that great too, you know, now with that mad scientist out there, it's going to take away a bit of value for that. Potentially. I mean, maybe he's got a nice block in there.
But yeah, you know, just put everything down.
Yep.
Trade it up. You have Ragnaros coming out the next turn. We'll see how Caster reacts for these trades. Oh,
ooh,
a third
he does
one.
have another one. Okay.
It's gonna be
duplicate. All right.
Okay. Well, if he gets the Shredder, that's not too bad. If he gets the Kirin Tor, it's not so great considering he already has 3 Secret.
That's the thing with duplicating a Kirin Tor mage. At least it's mana efficient. You know, it doesn't have bad stats for the mana, so
fair enough.
It could. You definitely want the piloted Shredder, but it could be worse.
Well, Caster, yeah, he's gonna want to test for these as we go. So
yeah, might as well just go for face.
Nice, and he checks for the mirror entity. He gets an Ancient.
Yep. What? He didn't go for the 10-5. What about playing for the win? Because on Mystic, that's something that Caster wish he had drawn, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Here comes Ragnaros.
All right, well, yeah, you're going to want that to hit Scenarius. But yeah, you just bring it down low enough so that it can possibly kill it. What's it going to be?
Is it going to be Scenarius? Oh. Wow. Ragnaros is being a bro for Flurry right now. All right, Sludge Belcher. Pretty good draw.
Yeah, the taunts keep rolling in.
Yeah.
Oh,
what the?
Look at this. It's a fan. You just activated. Oh, it's the wrong word. Well, I guess you technically activated a secret card. It's true.
It's true. There's secrets in Hearthstone, Chobra. Don't get your card games confused, man.
Doesn't really roll out the tongue the same way, though, does it?
Yeah, it's true. You've activated my secret card. Better than, like, you've activated my deception paper. All right, well, he is going to give him a couple shades of Naxxramas.
Well,
could be worse.
Yeah, could be worse. I actually think against Mage, the shades you're not too worried about.
Oh, all right. That's not so bad. Do you clear it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough because if you don't, it's obviously going to kill the Ancient of War. But if you do, it's just a hero power for the shade. Yeah. I say you still do.
Well, the harder you can make it to clear that Sludge Belcher efficiently, the nicer it is.
Exactly. And also, if you leave it and it kills the Ancient of War, then like both targets that Ragnaros can hit on the board are ones that you would want to save.
Flame Cannon.
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Well, no matter what it hits, I mean, even if it hits Sludge Belcher, you can just hero power it.
Yeah, so actually that's pretty good.
He's got a Polymorph in there, Flame Strike somewhere.
Although
no Dr. Balance yet.
If I'm Flurry, I'm wondering if you save the Flame Cannon and you just hero power the Shade and let Ragnaros do his work.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and you can just put your Shades on and start building them up.
It's not going to get any less useful.
Oh, well, that's actually a pretty big threat.
Face.
Caster's going to have to clear that Rag. He has a second Sludge Belcher, so... Well, actually, do you race for it?
Yeah, I don't think you clear that Ragnaros, man.
I guess
because
you don't.
Let's see. If I'm trying to think of what the numbers would be if he's going to do it. Okay.
But okay, so racing for it was definitely riskier. Yeah, I agree. You know what? You clear it.
What's with these Korean players playing so safe, man?
I know.
I'm not used to this. They have gotten better.
Ooh. Sludge Belcher on the flip side. Yeah, see, now you can get the guaranteed clear for the last minion left. So Flurry should have it pretty much in the bag. You've got all the big threats from Caster now gone, including both Sludge Belchers. So the only thing you're really worried about is, Sylvanas and then probably the combo. But the combo, it's going to take 2 turns to draw.
Are you even worried about Sylvanas at this point?
Not really.
No, just ignore her.
8-11.
Is that lethal? No. Wow, Polymorph. Wow, when When it rains, it flurries.
It's true.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, might as well just put that down too, because he's only got one card he's gonna draw.
Might as well kill the sheep.
There is not a single card that Caster can draw.
Unless he might control Texas Sludge Belcher, but he doesn't. Doesn't matter. GG. That is it. And Flurry will take game 1 with his mage. Okay.
Well, congratulations to Flurry. Was pretty good. You know, I think the biggest thing was he made the you know, what could have felt like a slightly risky but correct choice in saving that Mana Worm up to 5 damage and pressuring. It drew out the swipe, and that's where really things started going downhill.
That Mana Worm really did work. I mean, as we saw, Caster had a really hard time dealing with things early on. That mage deck got a lot more early damage in than you would normally expect to get.
Yes.
And when that happens against Druid, it can be very tough for the Druid player to come back.
Absolutely. So Caster looking a little bit disappointed, but he'll get to play his Druid deck again if he wishes at some point later in this best of 5. Meanwhile, Flurry will have to choose between his Rogue and Hunter for set number 2. We'll be going right into the game as soon as both players are ready.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of Hunter it is. I would imagine Face, because Face Hunter is really good right now. But I'm more curious about his Rogue, man.
Yeah, well, probably Oil Rogue, but of course there are some more variations in Oil Rogue than there are in Face Hunters. We'll give you that. But we did see some,
looking at the decks.
We did see some variations in Hunter decks last week too, mostly because Jungle Rambo didn't have all the cards, but still, we'll see what both of them do have a Hunter, so we'll see if both of them are bringing Face Hunter at some point in the best of 5. Looks like both players are ready. Looks like they've made up their mind and what their second decks will be. And yep, Caster is ready too. So let's jump right into set number 2 between Flurry and Caster. Flurry up 1-0 with his mage win over Caster's Druid.
All right, here we go, and Rogue versus Hunter. Okay.
Caster switching it out to the Hunter, knowing that it's going to be Rogue or Hunter on the flip side.
Yeah. And if this is Face Hunter, which actually is a Clockwork Gnome in there.
And a tracking. I wonder if it's mid-range.
Well.
Oh, well, we can't tell. We can't tell yet, but that's a pretty good opening hand regardless of which one it is.
It's got a Hunter's Mark too, which is kind of interesting. You know, Mech Hunter got better with Quick Shot coming out, but of course those cards aren't available yet. Yeah. And Mech Hunter's still bad, so sorry, Mech Hunter players.
It could still be Face with Clockwork over Leper, depending on what you want to play. But
it'd be interesting if that was the choice that he had made. Does have the explosive traps in there.
It says Romantic Winter Fighting, and wow, with the drawing of the Rogue.
Yeah. Well, she's getting her wish. She's seeing the Rogue deck. And yeah, you're going to clear that Clockwork Gnome out here.
Yeah. And for Flurry, he's got that prep sprint ready to go. So
she's still a fan. Yeah. Just checking back.
It's a pretty good drawing, I would say, especially if it was done live. Now that's what we want to know.
So he's leaving the Gnome up. Okay.
Why?
That seems a bit on the risky side. Because now you're going to take, you know, well, we'll see. Because he does have that Fan of Knives coming next turn.
Yeah.
But, and the thing is if you prep Fan of Knives and then you have the SI7 agent, you can clear quite a bit with that.
This is Regstar heroic mode. The true boss.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to do. Yep, prep. There's a dude and then Fan of Knives. Yeah, that actually worked out really well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and you know, the other reasoning, I think, for keeping that weapon is that you pretty much had cards to play for the next couple of turns in a row, so you probably wouldn't have been able to weapon up again.
I didn't look at his hand that closely.
And now, wow, he got his second prep too, so he can still sprint next turn if he wishes.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense. Of course, that means he won't have preps for some easy combos later, but if he, you know, maybe you can put down the Violet Teacher first, since you already have a little bit of board here.
Yeah, unfortunately for Caster, he's got the trap and both Mad Scientists in his hand too, so unfortunately a little bit of redundancy for him.
Yeah, looking a little bit rough for Caster.
Yeah. I'm sure he'd love to have an animal companion right now.
Yeah. The good news is at least you got the Whirling Blade from the
True.
the spare parts, so you'll get a little bit more attack in. Now he's wondering if he should put that onto the scientist to force a trade, if it's going to trade at all. But then you got to be afraid that there might be a deadly poison waiting for you.
Yeah, or backstab,
Yeah,
or eviscerate
yeah,
even.
So many
There's-
ways to get rid of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that he can deal with it. He's going to coin. Just coin into hero power for a little bit more damage.
Well,
He's trying to race.
yeah, and you know, not too many other times that you're going to be able to use that coin
Oh, wow.
efficiently in the future.
He's running an anti-heal bot.
Still, Rexar's still heroic mode.
Is he ever really heroic? There's an so there's an anti-heal bot in
Well-
that rogue deck, and you know you do see those every once in a while. Lately, I feel like I haven't seen as many.
The anti-heal bots?
Yeah, in rogue.
Yeah, it's yeah, I'd say most people still are. Well, of course, after Necromunda, a lot of people are trying the mill rogue, but
Oh,
in oil rogue, I'd say it's not too common. All right, he just wants to go for it and get the sprint as efficiently as possible.
Ooh, double deadly poison and Dr. Boom.
Oh,
And an Earthen Ring Farseer. Okay.
all right.
Wow, a lot of healing.
No
This is
backstab.
yeah. With Violet Teacher as well. This is kind of an oil rogue, fairly close to the old Miracle, even a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's very reminiscent of the old Miracle. I'm
I mean-
wondering actually if maybe Dr. Boom is about the only big difference here for him.
Well, Dr. Boom's in everything. There's a little bit of damage. That's a lot of bit of damage actually coming in from
Yeah.
Caster 8 this turn. Thing is, there's a lot of healing actually for Flurry. That's not something that Caster really would have expected, I think.
Yeah, and he has a deadly poison and blade flurry too.
Yeah.
This so Flurry can get rid of this, but again, even if he blade flurries, once that trap activates, I'm assuming there's a second trap in the deck,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and it will probably be explosive. I'm gonna assume. So he'll still go down pretty low. He can then heal the next turn. I mean, given that Caster hasn't played any of these other cards in his hand, you can assume that it's not going to be too crazy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Not going to use the deadly poison for some extra damage to face.
Yep. Save that for a big combo with Sharp Sword Oil later on.
Sounds good.
All right. So there is one explosive trap out of the way.
Start healing back up.
Yeah. This is where things get really annoying for the face under player. When you just can't seem to break through at this point. We'll see if he can. He's gonna try. I'm really fighting the urge to look at this rogue list right now. It's it's under a stack of papers on my desk.
I'd say it's
I wanna see
pretty.
what's in it.
Yeah, I'd say it's just very similar to the old deck.
Well, I just wonder if he's got auctioneers in there because we've seen
Right,
like
yeah.
1 and 2 sprints or 1 and 1 sprint or 2 auctioneers and 1 sprint. We've seen like a lot of different ways players have gone about it. Oh, Leok.
Man,
This was not.
doesn't have enough mana
we
for
wanted
Unleash
to
the
see
Hound
you.
either. Not that that would have made the biggest difference.
So you just explosive trap here, you think?
Well, apparently
get a little
not.
bit more.
Just your power.
Yeah. He's still got some health to work with. You have to be a little bit careful against Rogue. Okay, they're gonna force us to look at it.
Well, this is this
That's
is
a- oh,
the
this is a
hunter
hunter, yeah, but-
list.
Double Arcane.
Just one Blazuka, but double arcane and then a Leroy. Okay, so going for a little bit bigger finishes rather than stacking it up from early on.
Yeah, he's got some big burst.
Yeah, and he's got the tracking too, so he's actually getting pretty close to being able to finish Flurry if he gets the right cards in the next 2 turns.
Well, the nice thing too is that if Leok survives this turn, that'll pair really nicely with Unleash, but it looks like he's gonna get sapped. Not a lot of sap targets in his face hunter deck, so might as well.
Now, I like that Caster didn't put down the explosive trap earlier, though, because now, with the Violet Teacher coming out, you could be, could get a little bit more value, and it would have only killed the SI7 if Flurry played it smart.
Well, smart to sap before the Violet Teacher as well, too, to give him less Unleashed targets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, well, still nothing too awesome to do.
He can still get a good Unleash. Well, he can still
Yeah.
get some damage in. He's at 17 health, though, so now, the worries are kind of big for him.
I wonder if, even if it's such an easy tell, since you have, you have Leok, you have Arcane Gold, just Unleash the Hounds, Explosive Trap, and the Whirling Blade one of the Hounds to bring them all down
That's
to
what I was thinking,
Explosive
too.
Trap range.
Yeah, I mean, it's transparent, but Rogue really can't do a lot about it.
Right. I mean, if anything, basically Rogue will have to attack first, clear the board, and then start rebuilding the board.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just weaponing up and things like that.
Well,
So,
I would think what would happen then is he'd attack and then just play Dr. Boom, you know? Or maybe you
true.
could do Ancient Healbot as well, too. That'd be
Yeah, the anti-heal
Yeah.
bot, I was wondering, because...
that'd be a little bit safer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because Caster has held on to a lot of these
Oh,
cards.
boy.
Whoa.
Wow.
And then you're still going to explosive trap. Okay,
We're
so
doing
just
it.
going to ram down.
Yep.
All right, because you have the Leok and the Unleash the Hounds, so if he doesn't activate the trap...
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Wow.
Now, the explosive trap is still a little bit tricky, right? Even if not everything dies, it prevents any extra things coming out. The apprentices coming out from the Violet Teacher will die. So, I wonder how Flurry's going to go about this. Do you still play the anti-kill bot?
It kind of works in Flurry's favor, too, because this explosive trap clears out the Violet Apprentices as well. So it's going to be another, you know, weak unleash. Or not.
Okay, so anti-heal bot, 16. You can do 8 damage with the Leok Unleash the Hounds, but you are in lethal range.
Yep.
Caster.
And Leopardome's not going to help with that, so I think this is going to be it for Caster here in game number 2. It looks like Flurry's about to take a 2-0 lead because can't do enough damage to kill him. Let's see how much he can clear.
Well, yeah, you can clear enough to survive with what's on board, but we
Yeah.
see the Deadly Poison in hand, and I believe that's still lethal. You can't kill 3.
Yeah, would that still be lethal? Because
he'd have 9. Because you can't kill. You can only kill up to 2 minions here, no matter which ones you target.
Yes, that's right.
So it will be 9 with the Deadly Poison. Oh man, Caster, a little bit rough. You know, as much as he got the Whirling Blade, I'm still personally a little bit mixed.
Yeah. Oh, the turn's already happening.
On the Clockwork Gnome here.
Yeah, that's going to be a 2-0 for Flurry. And he will have to win a game with his Hunter if he wants a 3-0. It's not easy to 3-0 in Conquest format too, but he is on his way.
Yeah, props to Caster for sure for bringing out the Hunter instead of, the Druid again, knowing that it's going to be Rogue or Hunter. You kind of want to just front load that damage and get that win to bring yourself back into the game.
Yeah.
Didn't happen though, so now what do? You know that Flurry has to play a Hunter, and that doesn't really change too much. And you probably, would you just auto assume that it's going to be face Hunter given what people are playing these days?
Maybe.
Well, okay,
I mean,
let's say even if it's
tournaments,
mid-range, it's pretty aggressive compared to, say, something like Druid.
In tournaments, I feel like we've seen more face Hunter than mid, too.
Yes,
so.
absolutely. So we'll see what Caster decides. We are going to take a short break as we play 2 sets. We'll see if Flurry can close it out when we come back from this commercial break, or if Caster will make things a little bit interesting for us, try to go for the reverse all kill here against Flurry's Hunter. Flurry, a little bit less pressure this time around than the last time he stood on the stage here at OGN, so we'll see if he can go on to the round of 8. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back after this break. Flurry versus Caster. Flurry up 2-0. Welcome back, everyone, to Hearthstone Masters Korea here at OnGameNet, and we're reviewing some quick replays of set number 1 and 2 between Flurry and Caster.
Yep, pretty one-sided games for Flurry.
Yeah, this
taking
right here.
Taking out Caster's Druid and Hunter.
The play with the Mana Worm and the Frost Bolts kind of led to all of this because Caster basically had to use a swipe on one creature and then didn't really have anything else to really answer with as the board started to develop for Flurry. Next up was Rogue versus Hunter. Caster bringing out a Face Hunter with that Clockwork Gnome included, but you know, again, just the right choices here to save and then use the Phantom Knives to clear everything and then keeping his weapon for any future uses, which he did find later on.
I really do feel like, just in general, Flurry's play has been a bit crisper than Casper's has. I feel like the decision-making has been a bit better, and it's showing.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little bit, I'm wondering why, because Caster, again, still does have a very high win rate here in official matches within Korea, and so he has that highest win rate, actually, in Korea.
Never played in the booth before, though.
That is true.
It is a whole different experience.
Yeah, all these online matches, so that could be it. Of course, Flurry, meanwhile, had stood under that pressure last year, and he's learned a lot from it, and I agree with you. He looks a lot more composed in his play.
Yeah. He does, which is a good sign because he used to kind of really struggle with that. So up 2-0, feeling pretty good about this series.
Yeah, we'll see if he can close it out 3-0. We're jumping right into set number 3 between Flurry and Caster.
What's it going to be for Caster? We know it's the Hunter for Flurry.
What Hunter is
Druid.
it? Oh, the Druid's back. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So even if it's Face Hunter, like if you can get, your swipe early and things like that, could be pretty decent. And we noticed that it's a very defensive Druid build, very heavy ramp. Oh, but Savannah High Main on the flip side, so.
Looks like it is a bit more of a
mid-rangey
Hunter for Flurry, that's true.
Yeah.
And that Hunter's Mark is going to come in very handy against what Caster's got. But I took a look at Caster's Druid deck during the break, and it is extremely rampy, extremely defensive, double Senjin, double Ancient of Lore. It is about
War or Ancient of Lore?
Both.
Okay, well, yeah, I figured double Ancient of Lore for
I meant to say War, yeah, right. Yeah. But it's basically as defensive can be, you know?
Yeah. So actually, Caster probably going to be pretty happy about that. Even if it's mid-range, Hunters do tend to be pretty aggressive. So all these taunts coming in time and time again will be good. Now, we do see that Dr. Boom, though, since it's mid-range, Flurry has time to build up to that in his Hunter build. And that could actually turn things around for Caster if he's not taking that into account.
I mean, the nice thing for Flurry is that at the end of the day, you always do have that hero power. You have kill command as well.
Yeah.
So you have options. There's Reenie Hour.
Hey.
Reenie Hour. He'll be playing tomorrow, actually.
Tomorrow. I believe the last game of the round of 16, too.
Yeah, that's right. Reenie Hour from SK Gaming, formerly of Golden Coin, and went to BlizzCon last year, one of the 2 Korean representatives, along with Kranish.
Yep, at the World Championship. Very interested in seeing how he's improved during this downtime.
He's also, Reenie Hour is also one of the most, he's won some of the most money in Korea as well, too, in Hearthstone.
Yes, yeah, he's participated in other online tournaments and things like that within Asia and also globally.
Yeah, he's done really well in Chinese tournaments, too.
Yeah. All right, so Flurry, not showing, not showing too many tells, but by this point, either very unlucky slow Face Hunter, or you gotta assume that it's starting to build up a little bit. But these are all cards that are easily included and playable at these turns for Face Hunter. So Caster's just gonna hold on to his taunts as tight as he can and wait.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna play it out, roughly the same way.
Yeah, Flurry's like, oh man, I know that he has, because he's seen this Druid deck, or parts of it at least. So he's seen that there are more taunts that you're worried about.
Well, it's too bad for Flurry because he could have been drawing things like Knife Juggler and stuff like that, but he's using that Hunter's Mark early on.
He wants to keep his creepers, though, with that death rattle for obvious reasons. Yeah. That way it makes it a harder swipe target, and like you said, if he draws a Knife Juggler, things can change pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
So The secret is
And it just tests it out, it looks like.
it is a snake trap.
Okay. So that gives him a little bit of info.
Yeah, it's
He's
not
like, all right,
explosive.
no, it's either freezing or snake at this point. Well, it could be snipe as well, I suppose. But
well, yeah.
well,
then
now
he
he
put down
knows
the
it's not
shade.
snipe. Yeah, now he knows. But before the turn, the mystery was out there.
No, he
I don't
doesn't
think I've
have
ever
his,
seen snipe in a tournament.
doesn't have his swipe yet, so yeah, we are using the individual screens at this point. So a little bit update on that. Last week we did have some issues if you watched with the spectator client, and we have open channels with Blizzard, and they're working on some fixes for the spectator client to make it a little bit smoother to ensure we don't run into those errors. And so for now we are going back to the old ways, having backups on individual screens and using those to spectate.
Yep. Okay, another mad scientist coming in for Flurry. He's trying to put a bit of damage onto Druid, but here come the Ancient of War. Oh my gosh, it's KT.
Wow.
He needs to kill this Ancient, like, now.
Yeah, this...
Oh boy.
Things are going to change pretty quickly here.
He's not going to kill it this turn either. No. There's no way.
Wow.
There's no way he can do enough damage.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, things are about to get
I think you
a
hit
little bit awkward.
with that and then the 2 tokens.
Well, he's doing everything he can, you
He's got
know.
a snake trap and a freezing trap. If he can send that... Well, actually, at this point, you don't want to send that Ancient of War back either.
Yeah.
Flurry really needs... he actually kind of needs like 3 silences and 2 more Hunter's Marks at this point. Things have gotten a little bit out of control looking at Caster's hand, but Caster does have to take this a little bit carefully. He wants to play a little bit slower, because if you... For instance, if you put KT here...
Well, you wouldn't play KT this turn.
Yeah, and then he has like silence or something as his last 2 cards, and things can get really iffy. So
Yep. Yeah, and
put down.
where you can't, you know, use that Ancient of War and kill it off to have it come back, you know, with health, it's going to be a bit tougher.
Well,
I think the second Ancient of War wouldn't be too bad.
yeah, it could be okay.
Sylvanas is always a nice option if you're planning on following it up with a KT as well.
You know, I actually think Sylvanas isn't so bad either, but obviously Caster right now, he's like, all right, well, the first one wasn't freezing trap. Second one, chances are, it's definitely not 2 of the same, so there's a very high chance there's 1 freezing trap on top of that snake trap here.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
He's going to go for the KT.
And then he's just not going to attack.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's what's interesting. If this way he can guarantee he gets a second taunt out of that Ancient of War by not attacking it first, because now if he kills it, and then once it revives, he can attack with it, get it back with the freezing trap, and play it on turn 9 as a 5-take taunt again.
It's getting very interesting.
Yeah, but
Another taunt.
but Flurry also not biting that game.
Nope.
The mind games are getting very real here with the secrets. I mean, Flurry really just has to wait until he has a way to get rid of KT at the same time.
It's going to be tough, though, from his
Oh!
perspective. Wow.
The
Are
Kezen
you kidding me?
Mystic.
What's it going to get, though?
Oh, baby.
What is it going to get? 'Cause if it gets if it gets Snake Trap, that's not the greatest thing ever. He's not going to cast it this turn. He's still got KT, obviously.
Wait, why? Oh, man.
Yeah, because if you get Snake Trap, then you have snakes coming back, filling up your board.
Yeah. I think, oh, man.
This is a very
But
interesting
you
Hunter
can't-
versus Druid right now.
But you can't like get rid of one at this point, right? Because both of them are going to activate. So you have to just go for it if you're going to steal it at any point. This board is ridiculous.
You just have to steal it. You are right.
You just have to take that risk.
I mean, he can play Mystic and Sylvanas next turn, which is
True.
You know, maybe going to be the time you finally strike, right? Because you can run in with one of the ancients, perhaps. That's okay if it gets.
Oh,
freezing
maybe he was just waiting for the swipe for the snake trap. Because now, if he steals the freezing trap, it's a golden opportunity. What does he steal
What's
though?
he gonna take?
I think that's the freezing trap if it's positioned.
Freezing.
Yeah, it is the freezing trap.
Oh, that's so nice.
Well,
that is so good for caster. Okay, so.
Okay, well, okay. What's the ideal clear path here? Oh man.
I have no idea. There's
Well,
so
I don't
much
think there's a
stuff
way
going
you
on
can
right
clear
now.
the entire thing, right? Because you've got a 7/7 and you've got the 6/5 with the death metal on 2/2s, 2/2/2s rather, the hyenas. So, yeah, the snake trap's like
trap.
whatever at this point.
Yep. Well, the snake trap is like his, but
Well, okay. Yeah, it doesn't
caster's
actually
like whatever. So he's gonna clear Dr. Boom.
Okay.
Looks like with the he motioned towards it.
Yeah, you know, I think you do, because you're going to get it back. Obviously, it's going to have to start building back up.
Right.
2/2, but that's okay. Now, do you hero power it? Oh, actually, looks like
Save
he's
that
just gonna,
swipe.
Okay. Well, because, you know what? Yeah, I think that's fine, because Flurry's going to have to pop those death rounds if he wants to get through.
So much time to get through.
Oh my
This is really like the.
Oh, man!
Well, you can get it back. All right. Just passing the secrets back and forth.
But here's the thing, it still doesn't help Flurry. Like, it doesn't.
It's really not a secret if everybody knows about it, is it? Is
Yeah,
it
that's
Flurry?
how most secrets are in this world, though, Noah. Let's
true.
be honest.
Looking at what he's got left.
Okay, like
A
the
lot of big
biggest
stuff.
thing that could help is the IRB cow, but at this point I think things have gotten so out of control that the trap nor the owl is really going to change things for Flurry. I mean, okay, you could owl KT, I guess, and that would help a lot, but
Yeah. That would be nice.
oh, but it's still
It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back. It just has to
Still.
grow back.
That boom bot, that bomb went fast, man. That knew exactly
Yeah, that was
where it wanted to go.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, this is so awkward.
do you just you can't get rid of KT at this point.
So he's trying to keep the Ancient of War out of range of killing itself as well.
Yeah. And this way, next turn you can try to vie for a pretty sick Unleash the Hounds.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the
Like, because
idea.
he's looking for a way to kill that KT at the same time.
okay. He's just dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no taunts. Well, yeah, that didn't really do many favors. Okay, well, that's the end of the game. Freezing trap should still be
Should still be,
plenty
because
of
he has
damage.
8 extra in hand.
I have not done the math, but I don't think there's a lot of math to be done
Yeah.
here with a swipe in the hand as well. So, and to do with the claw, doesn't even need either one. There it is. And so Caster starting to bring it back a little bit, getting the win on the Druid.
That was just dirty, man.
A little bit. That was a crazy game.
So many taunts, so many big bodies in general.
Yeah.
So that's what the deck was supposed to do, as we now saw, and we'll be going right into set 4. Caster, the only one, really needs to tell us what deck he's going to use next, because Flurry has
yeah.
to go at it again with his Hunter, and now the secret's out. It's not a base Hunter, it's mid-range.
The secret's out, good one.
It's been out for a little while, as we saw for a couple turns there, but
The thing is, I think Flurry is just going to be happy that that Druid deck is out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, that's
tough
the
one.
annoying one. It's going to be Rogue or it's going to be Hunter coming out for Caster. Either one of those, as a mid-range Hunter for Flurry, you're going to feel a bit more comfortable with.
yeah.
Very, very much a slower mid-range Hunter, though. Interestingly enough, kind of the opposite of a lot of what we've been seeing in Hearthstone tournaments around the world right now.
Absolutely, and Caster is ready with his next deck, so let's jump right into set number 4, see if Caster can bring it back.
The real beginning of the 4th game
So
between
real.
Flurry and Caster. Oh,
Ooh,
Hunter v. Hunter.
Hunter. Well,
And now we know Caster's got the faster Hunter by quite a bit.
exactly. So that's why he chose this deck. Just said, all right, well, if yours is mid-range, I might as well go with a deck that was designed to take out mid-range decks.
Generally, when it comes to Hunter mirrors, the faster deck has a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the Caster's Hunter deck is so bursty too.
Yeah, it's very.
The man is at a great hand for Flurry starting off. The man is at not the greatest hand. Let's see what he draws. So that was it, wasn't it? For
No,
Caster.
I think he. I think
Did he
he
mulligan?
sent the
Okay, he
deck
did
out.
mulligan.
It just went
Sometimes
right
the
into
client,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't show us because it went right to his hand. Still not the greatest hand for a face hunter early. Meanwhile, like you said, Flurry, I mean, he basically has things that he can play at the same time every time to match Caster's aggression.
Yep.
He's going to even coin out the Knife Juggler because he has 2 minions he can play on turn 2.
Yep, I think coining out the Knife Juggler is a great idea.
That's pretty intense.
Helps him get a pretty good start against his opponent here. Now, there is a Knife Juggler in the hand of Caster as well, but
I don't think you play it, though.
it's not going to live very long.
Because, like, here's the thing, right? Even if Flurry didn't have 2 minions to play, I mean, first of all, you got to assume he probably does if he coined it out.
Yeah.
But even if he doesn't, for Flurry with the slower deck, he's like, all right, well, if I trade Knife Juggler for Knife Juggler, like, I'm actually kind of okay with that.
You just want Explosive Trap? Kind of tell yourself that Explosive Trap is a Frostbolt this game?
Yeah,
and you're just going to take on Knife Juggler with it?
It doesn't feel too good, but again, it is mid-range. Like, I think you can afford to use it just for the damage to face and slowing down the turn 2.
I mean, in theory, it prevents a lot of damage from coming in because you're going to take 3 from the Knife Juggler. You're going to take knives from whatever else he plays. You know, we see an Abusive Sergeant in the hand of Flurry. You know, Caster knows there's cards like that in there. Yep, and he's going to go with the Explosive Trap.
Yeah, I say you don't get too greedy with it. Now, Flurry,
I agree.
Do you just freezing trap and then hold to turn 4 to steal that? Because if you steal an Explosive Trap against a face hunter, like that's pretty game over.
Totally. All right, he's going to test it. And it's Freezing Trap.
Yep. I mean, he's seen 2 secrets from Flurry the last game, and probably those are the only two in there. Could have another explosive in there too, but we'll see. We'll find out.
Kazan Mystic is so huge. I thought he was going to wait too.
Yeah.
I think he should.
Wait.
I think you can just play Web Spinner and Hero Power here.
Yeah. Well, okay, what would be the reasoning for not doing that?
Well, if you decide to attack in and pop the trap, then you know, what do you gain? Yeah, I think this is a much better turn.
Yeah, I was fishing for ideas on why he wouldn't want to do that, but
because at the very least you force cards from their hand to deal with what's on the board. Otherwise, you just give him, you know, free stuff apparently. So
Caster has to know that Kazan Mystic's coming, and sadly he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, he knows it's in there.
You know what? He should Arcane Golem and be like, ha! Now you can't use all 5 mana with Kazan Mystic.
I don't know. That's a bit ambitious. All right, here we go. This is a huge play. This is kind of one of those game-winning moments potentially for Flurry. Taking this Explosive Trap is so big.
Here's the other thing though, right? If he takes it, and Caster,
well, you're
if
gonna
Caster
take
attacks, wouldn't Caster would be okay with it because he has the Knife Juggler. So I think Flurry was wondering, like, do I steal it now or do I try to wait it out?
Yeah, but if you play the Knife Juggler and then attack, the Knife Juggler dies before the knives from the spider
that's
come
true,
out.
yeah.
So
you can't play them at the same time. Never mind. That was
wouldn't be quite as good.
Idea.
You know, I think at this point, because you know it's an Explosive Trap,
you just have to hit.
Or you could just Glaive Zuka, and you could clear out the Knife Juggler.
Oh.
Because you could Glaive Zuka, you could put down your Knife Juggler, you could clear out his with the buffed Spider if you play the Knife Juggler afterwards. And you've got 2 Knife Jugglers too, so you're not too worried about losing one. And just getting that out of the way is really, really nice.
Trying to go for a full clear.
Oh, okay. So he is going to do that. All right.
All right.
That works
He
too.
says, you know what? If I'm going to lose board, you're going to lose board. Okay.
Kind of playing the odds a little bit here. And, okay, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Yeah, he'll just go clear.
Yeah. He needs 1 to hit. Oh. Oh, no, he still does have 3, doesn't he? Okay.
Yeah. I'm actually wondering
green circles were kind of disappearing.
Why he didn't just attack with the Hounds, because he had 3 anyway, and then just make sure the creepers stay alive.
It's an interesting choice. Oh boy. Oh,
well,
one
that's
Knife
already
Juggler, another one. Okay, all right. Another Spider. It's just how efficient can it be? There we go.
Yeah, you know, I'm not a fan of how that previous turn played out for Caster. And
I mean, I think it's more of what we've been seeing before, where I really feel like Flurry's a better player here. You know, I know Caster's win rate is apparently what it is, but in this match right now, I think Flurry is by far the better player.
It is what it is. You know, I used to play against the amateur team called It Is What It Is back in the day of Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Their tag was IIWII, so it looked like a little badge you could put on.
Oh.
That was actually pretty cool.
Did
The name, it is what it is, was not so cool, but the way they
would call their team Iwi? Iwi?
No, we never called them that, but we probably should have.
That doesn't sound quite as tough. Yeah.
Well, you know, I agree because, okay, basically the way Caster's playing is he's playing for the turn. He's playing each turn as they come, and Fleury has learned that you can't do that, especially in professional play.
Yeah, you have to play for the win.
Yeah.
And he is just going to go ahead and pop this explosive trap, not get the, and he's not going to get the battle cry off of Glaive Zuka either.
Caster's missed out on so much damage. I mean, not just because of his own mistake, but because of Fleury's play with that Kazan Mystic. And
yeah, there's just not any good way for him to clear this Savannah High main too, so. 16 health, Dire Straits. Oh, okay. Owl is nice to have against the Savannah High main. That's pretty sick.
But, you know.
If the knife hits it, he can kill it with Arcane Golem. Oh. If the knife hits it, you can clear it with Arcane Golem. Oh.
Well,
I feel like I just said
now
that.
you just gotta go.
Yeah, to the face. All right, so 7 damage. There's a kill command. All right, so is that enough with the bow? Let's see. I'm terrible at math. He's also got, a boar. He's got Abusive Sergeant. He's got a ton of damage in his hand, actually.
Yeah.
I think this may be enough, yeah. I'm just going to trust that he's done the math.
Fleury looks so happy.
Yep. There's the bow as well, and that will be it. So Fleury will take this match 3-1 then. And the slower Hunter reigns supreme this time. And I really do feel the better player got through as well.
Absolutely. No, Fleury played a lot cleaner, and like we said, he played, and all 3 of his decks actually, there are moments where we saw him play for the next 2 turns, right?
Yeah,
he didn't just, like for instance, with the Mana Worm and the Frostbolts, he said, all right, you only have 2 cards, let me go ahead and bait that swipe out. In this one, he saved that Kazan Mystic for 3 turns, didn't attack anything. Just a lot crisper play and thinking ahead, you know, how do I create that win condition in the future, not this turn?
Yeah, Fleury seemed really solid. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the quarterfinals. I think he's going to be maybe one of our favorites to get to the semis too.
Fleury's last name is Cho, so I'm a huge fan already.
I see.
I just realized.
That Korean family name bias, huh?
But we might not even be the same Cho.
I know it exists.
But we might not even be the same Cho. That's where things get a little iffy.
Might be a different city, right? Like
exactly.
different home city or something.
The roots of our last names.
Yeah.
But I think we will have a quick interview with Fleury once, here we go, he's coming on to stage. And meanwhile, Caster exiting his booth. Fleury won a poor showing for his first time on the OGN stage. But you know what? All these other Korean players who are in the round of 16, actually a lot of them went through that last year. And that's how they've grown a lot this year. So maybe we'll see Caster in the future season. Let's talk to Fleury for now. He looks very happy. I mean,
looks relieved, and I would be too.
Yeah. And in the last set, you know, I mulliganed all 4 cards, and right away looked at my opening hand and I said, you know what, there's no way I lose with this mulligan against Face Hunter.
It was a pretty great hand.
And I'm definitely super happy. But I'm just a little shy right now, but I want to go scream outside after the interview. Don't want to scream here because there's a lot of people here. I'm a little shy, but. Gosh, the second man, he's like, hey, it can be your new image, man. You can be remembered as a screamer. Yeah, we want to see how happy you are.
We want the Fleury to sound like the roar of a blizzard.
That's actually pretty good. I thought he was going to be super shy, but
it was okay. He gave it his all. I like it.
Yeah.
What do you know?
That's how happy he is. It's a savage roar.
It kind of was one of those.
A savage roar.
It was kind of one of those screams that sounded like someone like snapped him with a rubber band really hard too. You know. I've heard that noise back in grade school.
Oh man. And so. Yeah, I really didn't want to, in that first set, I really didn't want to use that Hunter's Mark, or rather the second set. However, it worked out, because that was the only way I was going to start doing damage, so. And so in that third set, excuse me, we're talking about in that Druid matchup. Now, because we're playing in Conquest mode, you had to win with that Hunter deck every time, and you know, the more you play, and you know, your opponent is going to know pretty much all your cards by that point because you'll have played through it twice. And so, what were you relying on? And he says, well, I was really just waiting for the owl at that point, especially when the Ancients of War came out. And I didn't have a choice whether I showed cards or not. And I just had to continue. Playing it out. So they were wondering, why didn't you just concede? Because it looked like you might even lose. Why did you know? How did you know you were going to win? And he's like, well, I had to keep fishing for that owl because I could have won if it came out. You never know.
Yeah, very true. And he did so much damage with this Mana Worm that game too. Even with the...
And in this moment, well, after what he used the previous turns, I was like, yeah, well, with the 2 cards left, I don't think he has a way to deal with that Mana Worm unless it's inefficient. And of course, this is the very last moment. What was going through your head at this point? He's like, well, I just feel really good when you can get a combo like this, especially against Face Hunter, where kind of, giving them a taste of their own medicine. And if you can get this off against Face Hunter, like, you're in pretty good shape.
It's true.
And of course, after that, I drew the Savannah Hyman. It was prepared for turn 6. I basically had all my turns ready for me going into that last set.
It was a very cleanly played game.
Also, now your opponent in the round of 8 will be decided in the next match. Who do you want to play? And Fleury says, well, I want Dawn to beat Transit because every time I've practiced against Dawn, I've beaten him. So it'd be great to meet him in a professional match and most likely win.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. We're all very happy because Fleury usually he's always been shy. He's always been a little bit less confident on stage, but right now he sounds very confident. He sounds very happy. And he says, if it's Dawn, even if we play a couple times in a professional setting, I think I can still beat him. I'm going to assume he's beat him a lot in practice games.
From what I've heard, everybody has, actually. From what I've heard, it's true. Oh, it's us again. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Dawn, he did beat one of the best players in Korea to get into this tournament, but after I talked with a lot of the players here, and every single one of them says, "Oh, he got lucky. He's not going to get any farther than this." So even Transit today, I talked to him this afternoon. He's like, "Yeah, I should beat him, no problem."
Now Transit,
all right.
Transit did get a little bit overconfident his first time showing around at OGN, though. So we'll find out how he does against Dawn after this break. For now, the first match is over in Group E of the round of 16. Fleury moves on to the round of 8. We'll be back with Group F after this break.